Okay, it's 4 p.m. So welcome to Alfresco Tech Talk Live 168. Hello to all. Let's wait, let's say 30 seconds so everybody can step in. We are just seeing participants coming into the session. And while we start, I will speak about the agenda. So as usual, we start with a short community news, and then we will have the main talk from Daniel, maybe with some participation from Angel too. And usually we keep the Q&A for the end of the session. So I'll start the Q&A now, so I don't forget to enable it. And you should see now the Q&A option at the bottom of the screen. So please confirm that in the chat. And let's start so with the community news. So for today, it will be mainly about Community Live. So as most of you know, Community Live is the main big Hyland event, like a Hyland convention. It's back to Las Vegas this year. We have already a lot of people coming, very interesting session schedule. So more than 100 sessions and speakers over 4 days in multiple rooms. There is a big, actually, community central for, partners and other sponsors of the events to show what they do. There is a community space, usually at Community Live, where you can exchange with, people of my team and other, experts of the Hyland products. And it's a big opportunity to come and meet and have fun time together. So if you have the opportunity to travel to Las Vegas this year, I would really recommend that you join in. It's really a special event every year. We have an early bird price that at the end of June. So if you book now for Community Live, you will actually save money. And also, of course, you will save money on the hotel and the airplanes and stuff like that when you book early. So do it now. That said, as usual, we have, yes, I forget. Everything is on communitylive.com. I think it's quite easy to remember. We will post the link into the chat, by the way. Oh, sorry. Didn't work, but I will post the link later. And let's speak about usual resources. So Angel was kind enough to provide a couple of updated links and news. So you will see that he has very interesting recent project into his GitHub. So just click on that. Of course, again, I will post the links into the chat after my introduction. We have some interesting community project again from our speaker today, Daniel. Actually, I will also share his GitHub later. And you have other people actually who are highlighted for doing very interesting project. I really like the audio transcriber with OpenAL. And a third-party blog post, so escaping special characters in Alfresco. That is, I would say, something to, it looks like it's a common problem that is explained in this blog article. If you want to become a speaker of the TTL, so Angel is doing regularly the speaker for trendy topics. Today we have Daniel. Thanks, Daniel, by the way, for joining and preparing all the content. And but if you want to showcase what you do, something you did, your project on GitHub, how it works, how it integrates with Alfresco. If you are working for a partner, or you did a nice integration, some, I don't know, user experience or something like that, based on, the software you actually sell, and you use Alfresco inside to handle documents. Feel free to contact us. On Hyland and I are really easy to reach on Connect, of course, via a private message, connect.hyland.com. We are easy to find on LinkedIn. Of course, we are on Discord, so send a private message. Let's discuss, actually. We have spots open for, after this summer, and we're really happy to discuss the opportunity with you and give you this space to showcase your work. So today, this Tech Talk Live is, the title is AI-powered content enrichment and transformation workflow for Alfresco. We have the main speaker, Daniel Gradecak, and Angel Borroy, that you already know. I will shut down my camera and my microphone and give them the space to share their screen. And welcome, guys.
Perfect. So thanks, Antoine. I will be starting the session, and then Daniel will also have the second part of the session. So my part is relative to this knowledge enrichment. So we were reviewing that on the previous Tech Talk Live. Remember that this was just creating and enhancing metadata, improving search accuracy, creating embeddings, and transforming everything into Markdown. And then it was also adding some other features like creating summaries. Daniel will talk about this later, or identifying relationship within documents. So there is a lot of stuff that can be done with this knowledge enrichment that is a service provided by the Hyland CIC. And I want to highlight you two projects that cover partly these features of the knowledge enrichment service, but using Alfresco community and open source tools. So the first one is transforming documents into Markdown. This is an Alfresco transformer. So this is provided as an Alfresco transformer. And obviously, Markdown is the preferred format to ingest documents for AI. So this is why we are creating this Markdown transformer. And the second one is a project that is generating embeddings from these Markdown files to store data in a vector database. This is like the common stuff, but now Spring AI is finally released on 1.0.0, and we are also to check how the Docker model runner, this LLaVA replacement, is working. So let's move into this. So the first one, you have, as always, the project on GitHub. You can contribute, create issues, whatever you want. So we are transforming documents into Markdown, but we are using two steps. So the first one is to use this Docgreen, this open source tool that is able to create Markdown from Office formats and also from PDF. As in Alfresco, we have PDF, we have renditions. I'm using this to convert PDF to Markdown. So with that, we get the Markdown, including all the representation for the images, tables, figures, and so on. So after that, what I'm doing is to connect with LLaVA, in this case, by using this LLaVA, that is a model that has this vision encoded leaf, to create the Markdown with the description of these figures. So we can get not only the original format of the Markdown, but also the pictures described. So this is the best format sent to the embedding process. So the second one, instead of using LLaVA, is using the Docker Model Runner. So the Docker Model Runner is a new service provided by Docker Desktop, let's say. So you need to enable that on these features in development. And this is not a container. So this is running natively in your computer. I guess that now is fully available for Windows and Mac with GPU acceleration. So it's running fast. And it's a way of accessing models without having this LLaVA connector. So they are using the OpenAI standard connector. So you can use OpenAI protocol to access to this model runner. And the model runner, it's also able to provide you different embeddings and different LLMs and so on. So in this case, for the embedding, I'm using this AI MX by embedded that is a high quality LLM to produce embeddings. And then I'm using 1024 dimensions for this one. So this is by default what is in this Alfresco knowledge enrichment process, right? So we are translating the Markdown into embeddings, but with this high fidelity, let's say better fidelity than using Markdown or using directly another format. Okay. Okay, so this is the comparison, right? So these projects are open source and they are using open source stack, while the Hyland Knowledge Enrichment, it's a service right now. It will be evolving in the future. So there will be some parts of the project, I hope, open sourced. But by now it's fully managed and enterprise grade. While in this one, we are relying on Spring AI or LLaVA or Docker Model Runner, Elasticsearch, and so on. So you need to build your pipeline with this. So you need to get the PDF from Alfresco, convert that to Markdown, send that to the vector database, to Elasticsearch in this case, then build the chatting system, and then integrate that with Alfresco. While with out of the box, this is provided out of the box with CIC. There is an Alfresco integrator and Alfresco connector that is providing you these features. With the open source stack, you have high flexibility, obviously, because you can choose whatever you want to choose. And with the knowledge enrichment, you have better quality in the outputs, and the complexity is lower because you just need to connect with a REST API, and that's all. And obviously, with open source, you need to maintain your deployments, while with this knowledge enrichment, you can just trust that is scalable to the limits. Okay, so I'm going to show you very quick how that works. So my next two projects are just exposing REST endpoints. So the first one is a transformer. So this is the classical Alfresco transformer. So you choose the PDF and source mine time, target mine time, and then you get the representation for Markdown. And just let me find the original document. So this is the original document. Sorry, I leaked something. Okay. So this is the original document again. So you can see that it's using exactly the same paragraphs, and it's also just including all these titles, and also for the pictures, it's including a description of the picture. So we are able to ingest that with the description itself. I'm using cryptography stuff because, as you know, I'm also a cryptography teacher. So this is my handout for the students. So the first one we need is just to get from this PDF the representation in Markdown, and then we can ingest this Markdown into the, in this case, into the vector store that is using Elasticsearch. And once we have that, then you can just use this chat endpoint that is just using RAG. So I'm doing a semantic search. Spring AI is doing a semantic search in this vector database, and is providing not only the answer, but also all the different related information that is coming from the documents. Okay, very quick. Just try by yourself. You will have all the information there. Okay, so you have all the links, you have all the stuff I was using to create that, and happy to get your feedback from this. And as I said before, we have also a big announcement. I guess that some of you already know, but John Newton is back again. So John Newton, I guess that all of you know John Newton, but he is just coming back to Hyland. In this case, it's not strictly related to Alfresco, but more on the vision, on how to apply AI, the cloud, open source. So how to apply all these different technologies to ECM, content platform services, right? So he will be speaking in Community Live 2025. So you can also just get more details in our web, but it's good to have John back again. So yes, let's see what happens in the future. Okay, so that was all from my side. So Daniel, I'm going to pass you the mic.
Thank you, Angel. So, hi everyone. I just need to check and to share my screen quickly. Yeah? Okay, I hope I picked the correct one. So, well, today I'm going to describe a little bit what are T-engines, even if probably you know, but maybe some of you don't know exactly how it works. Just a quick recapitulation about that. Then I will show you some how to work with locally powered AI. So some toolings that you can use locally on your servers. And for the end, I will show also a custom tool that I created to export metrics from Alfresco, mainly from Alfresco Search, and how to create a custom command line transformer that you can actually just extend like via Docker images easily. So for those who don't know me, my name is Daniel Gradecak. I'm based in Croatia, and I work with Alfresco, well, not with Alfresco, but on Alfresco projects in Java for more than 20 years. And probably it's 2 or 3 years less because I guess I was waiting for Alfresco to start up all the time. But we are all in the same situation there. Okay, so the recapitulation about T-engines. Probably you know that those are simply good hooks in the content lifecycle for your documents. They are very modular. It's a standard thing in Alfresco. The thing that Angel was explaining is about extracting metadata, embedding metadata, and what I will be concentrated on today is actually the metadata extraction. And that's actually how my AI tooling is working, actually. Okay, so all this can, of course, be also pluggable into what we call the pipelines. And you should know that Alfresco T-engines, actually, they do not actually depend on Java itself. You can even write them in Python or any other language, so they are really tech agnostic. Okay, so the architecture overview of how I did those things, you know, on the left-hand side, you can see Alfresco, right? And that Alfresco uses a simple request, like a transform request to the T-engines, usual T-engines like LibreOffice, TK, ImageMagick. We can also combine them like what you usually know as an all-in-one transformer that comes with the Docker installation and usually the Alfresco setup. They are written in Spring Boot, and they have some standard configuration and then some custom logic that is applied. Here, the custom logic for the AI summarization and categorization that I will be showing actually is done in Python. So there is an extra request, there is an extra container then that's written in Python. I'll be showing all that. So Angel was talking about the Spring AI, of course, and I find Spring AI is good for the Java ecosystem and the Spring developers. But LangChain today, that's actually the Python version of, let's say, Spring AI, is much more feature-rich and it's more flexible than Spring AI. Spring AI is very cool for prototyping or something, but LangChain is the de facto go with tooling currently. That's actually my opinion, of course, and it's much more mature than Spring AI. Okay, so quickly about that summarizing the documents. So you probably know that there is Alfresco metadata, like the CM description. That's actually what we are used to work with every day. And those metadata, usually you would fill them, Tika could fill them, right? Like extracting the exact text from your document. But here we will just use model that's called BART-Large-CNN. And that model actually is pre-trained with data from CNN and daily news. And that worked very good for summarization. So you can find those links. I will also share, or Angel and Antoine will share all the links, but you can easily embed all that in Docker, and I will show you the demo of all that. For the categorization, it will do the same thing, a very similar thing, but with multiple metadata. And it will not use pure AI like LLMs or the model that I just explained, the BART-Large model. It will use an algorithm we can call actually TF-IDF. That's the term frequency, inverse document frequency. If you are an advanced user of Solar or Elasticsearch, you probably heard about those things and you know what it is. But also those things will allow us to have multi-labels. You can train it based on your own data set. That's actually the good thing. If you already use a pre-trained model, you will have difficulties to train it, right? But this one is an empty data set, and you can train it with whatever you want. I will also show that as a second demonstration. So how to do all that, you will see during the demo that I am simply using Alfresco content rules, or folder rules, of course. And it will just be extract the common metadata field action. So very easy to configure. Everything will be, my documents will be plain text, so not to complicate, because all about this is quite complex. So I just want to keep it as simple as possible. So you could also plug all that together with custom Java code if you will. You can create custom pipelines. So all of those are simple Alfresco T engines. Okay, so why you could wonder, but probably you know the answer yourself, why you would do that? Simply because human processing is slower and error prone, of course. AI can be trained again and again from different data set. If you want to have different results, you can retrain. And if you have to retrain the whole team every time, then that's a little bit more complex, of course. Okay, so this is just to summarize what I'm going to show now. I will not show the pipelines or anything, just two T engines and the Python behind, of course. All right, so let me start actually quickly with showing you that I run everything inside of Docker, so on Docker desktop, of course. And I will just be running for the first demo the Summariser transformer with Alfresco. Okay, it's an older Alfresco version. I just did not take the latest Docker from Alfresco. And I will use some predefined text that I just took this morning from CNN so that you can see actually what it does. So the thing is, okay, I already created a folder called summary, and I created some rules that actually will work on plain text. And like I said earlier, just extract the metadata. So I will upload by drag and dropping, of course, one text, and then I will check. So now you see the description is not there because the Alfresco extraction of metadata starts asynchronously. So that process will be done eventually in a couple of seconds later. And now we got it. So we got actually the response from the Summariser API that's written in Python. So here you will understand that in Docker Compose we have one Python application. Sorry, this is the Python application here, and this is actually the T-Engine. All of them can be found on Docker and on Docker Hub and also on GitHub. So you have the code, you can check all that. So we will share that later on. So the next demo, I will just then show you actually. So we'll just change that to the categorization transformer now. I cannot run them both at the same time. Actually, I could, but I will just for the sake of examples, just do a clean install. I will kill Docker here. And while it's building up, here. Okay, so now the next demo is about categorization. I think that one is much more interesting. So while it's booting up, I will just show you how the API on the categorization side looks. So in the Python application, you have quite a lot of different possibilities now. You first have to teach the model. This is a sample how to teach the model. And to do that, actually, you can find all that on like I said earlier, on Docker Hub. So for the previous example, for the Summariser transformer, also you can see that on Docker Hub. You can find the Python application on GitHub. So if I move to the Categoriser transformer, so just be careful. Those applications are not meant for you to use in production as is. You have to train your model, etc. So you also have to be aware that there might be some bugs eventually. So if you read carefully how all this work, so if I would upload now a document inside of Alfresco, nothing would happen because this model is not trained. So it does not know actually what it should do. So therefore, how to train the model. So I will just close the previous. I closed the wrong tab actually, but that's not the problem. And we will go back and we will now copy the training data. So I will first simply train the model now. So I will provide a couple of texts, and those texts will be used as documents later. So this first text, like document about technology and computers, it will be tagged actually with description just called the document and the topic called computer. So the description, you can understand that that's a metadata inside of Alfresco, right? And the topic is just a custom metadata. It has nothing to do with predefined model inside of Alfresco. It's just to show you as an example. I did not want to complicate that with extra models, etc. inside of Alfresco, of course. Right now the model is trained. Now we can do the same thing as earlier. Since I created a new instance of Alfresco, I have to log in and I have to create the folder and the rule. So let's do that very quickly. We will call that categorize now. And once we find it, we create a rule. We'll call it AI categorize, for instance, for all the folders for all the items that come in, but actually we will say only for plain text. So you could create pipelines, you could transform your PDF into plain text and then do whatever you want, but this is just for demo. And we will extract all this. All right, so we go back to that folder. And now, if we use a categorization text that actually is coming from the data that we just trained before, then you see again that this is an asynchronous process. We need to refresh some time. So here, the description has been prefilled now. And if I take this node ref, and we have a look into the admin tools of Alfresco, we browse for that node. And we can see also that the topic metadata, it's not a real Alfresco metadata, so it's a residual metadata that Alfresco doesn't know, it cannot index it or anything. But if you create your own model and you configure the tooling with your metadata, it can be 1, 2, 3, or whatever number of metadata you want. You first need to train the model, don't forget, with all the labels that you require, and then the model will be able to tell you. So I could do the same for another document quickly. I will show you the content of those documents also, but if I do that, again, asynchronous, well, it was very quick. This is like a finance document. Simply, all this is working because I used exactly the same text, so I am cheating a little bit. I did not use partial text because this data set is very small. So you need a huge corpus to be able to train the data. So the best thing is to pre-train the data with your own documents, which you cannot do on LLMs, of course, or it would be much more difficult. All right, so if I go back to my slides. So I already explained a little bit why you would like to use local-based tools. Because of data privacy, you don't need to send everything to the cloud vendors, and for instance, that's a very problematic thing for companies usually. And Angel have been showing how to use LLMs with Spring AI, and I try to explain how to use those local models that you can adapt to your own needs, right? You can also use, instead of using the BART-Large model, train data from CNN, for instance, you can use DeepSeek if you want. It's very easy to plug in that into Python and into LangChain. So that's actually the cool thing. One word about my categorization presentation and demo that you can use. Actually, it's based on TF-IDF. And actually, in my opinion, that's a good way to, if you want to use precision and local control, actually, especially when your task is more about structured search and not understanding the natural language. Very often, that's not what we want. We want structured data with clear categorization. LLM sometimes cannot do that. All right, so sure, there are always better cases for LLMs, like if you have multilingual requirements. If you have to train your own data set on multiple languages, then that's very difficult. That's not something I would ever do, of course. For that, LLMs are very, very, very cool. Okay, so I will just continue immediately with the next demo for the Alfresco Search Metrics Exporter and the command line T engine. So the Metrics Exporter actually is just using Alfresco Search through the REST API and exposing everything through Spring Boot Prometheus data. Very often people do things like creating Alfresco modules to do that, but here you could create a simple Spring Boot application doing a search over the REST API, which is a standard search in Alfresco, and expose that through Prometheus. That would be a cool thing on how to benefit from all the open source world. This is a simple way how to do that. So it's a YAML configuration. So it's a pure Spring Boot application. You can use Spring Boot YAML config, properties config, overrides through the environment properties, etc. And for instance, when you configure the search path, you could also do that not only for Alfresco. So if you want to use third-party services, you could, but this is mainly written for Alfresco. So you create your own query. Those queries can use different languages like CMIS or Alfresco full text search and anything that is supported. There are some small tricks that I will explain later quickly, but this is the kind of data you would see. So this, to people who are used to use Spring Metrics or Spring Boot and Prometheus, they would understand actually this notation, of course. And this is the same thing, just not using a query for folders, but actually for nodes, enforcing. This is a small how to actually to force a Solar search, for instance, because if you use a DB search inside of Alfresco, you don't have the total of items, but Solar can provide that. So that's why you would see that is node true, actually. And all that exporter is actually using Spring Boot and Spring Spell, which is Spring expression language, to extract the metadata. So in the response that you receive from, in this case, Alfresco Search, so it can be Elasticsearch, it can be the open source version with Solar, it can simply actually extract exactly what you want from that JSON or the map that you received back. And the last demo I will show immediately after is about that command line transformer. That's a cool way if you want to extend, not to write from scratch a command transformer, a transformer, a T-engine, but the command line, people usually were asking me, how can I just write a script like a shell script or something? I know exactly what I want to pipe. So I know my toolings I have on Linux or something. I just want to have a shell script that I am able to call or invoke, and that the document is transformed. So I came up with that idea that simply everything can be extended, where we have a Spring Boot application that's predefined, and I'll just, you can also find the links here. And this is how it looks like, actually. So it's a predefined or a base Docker image. You can extend like this. Copy the config file. You understand that these are the transformers. So this is how Alfresco TNGs are configured. You also can create your command. So the example I created on GitHub actually uses ExifTool, but you can use any other command line tool or your own shell scripts and simply call them. And this is the application YAML for Spring Boot. This base image, unfortunately, doesn't work on ARM64 architecture. Angel was testing that, and okay, we understood that there is a problem. But this is because it's using Spring Boot and Paketo to create Docker images, and they do not support yet ARM64 that way. All right, so I'll just show you quickly now the demo. All right, so let me. Okay, so these are the links for the document for the T-engine, so you will be able to see all that. So the links for the metrics exporter, right? So this is the code you can find on GitHub. Same for the command transformer, and the example you can find on GitHub. All right, so the thing is that this is the Prometheus URL. So you see here we have a FTS CM folder that's actually just counting. That's a search that's pre-configured on my side to count all the folders. And here is some documents like CM content, of course. There is also a CMIS tooling, but just remember the number 80. So the thing is, you know that you can use the Alfresco Search, right, through REST API. Like I said, you can create the queries. And whatever you can do here, you can do with that metrics exporter. And so now here we have total items 80, right, like in here. And we will just now create a new document. We could simply drag and drop one document that I have here. And as soon as we get a response like 81 here, so that means that Solar would have indexed it. So let's hope that it will work. Demo time. But
so
so
Daniel, you added a file, but you are counting folders.
Oh, sorry. Did I? Okay, pardon. Thank you, Angel. Okay. So let's create, because there are different metrics, but yes, you are right. I was explaining about that one. All right. So now let's give it just 1 or 2 seconds here. So 81, and now the next time, if you would have any other tooling that is scraping your Prometheus data, right, this one would simply actually increase, right? The thing is that you can create as much as metrics as you want. They will be exposed. I will just show you maybe how to do that, right? So you can create a metric like through an API, create your search queries. You can define several metrics, like in this example. All that is documented. It's on GitHub and Docker Hub, so you can use it, extend it, and feel free to innovate with all that. All right, so let's go to the end. I think that's it for now. I thank you very much, and thank you everyone for taking the time to be here, and to Angel and Antoine to organize this. I hope it was clear. Maybe I was too fast, but I hope that it's okay.
Oh, I think it should be fine. Thank you a lot, Daniel. We have one big question. Let's read it, but I guess you can both, read it. Open the Q&A and read it a little. But what is the hardware instruction on which you run the demo? Do you use Alfresco SDK?
But Antoine, yeah. It's just a set of 4 questions.
Oh,
so
it's 4 different. Okay,
yeah.
one by one. Sorry, maybe sometimes people do a large paragraph with the same topic. So first one, what is the hardware instruction on which you run the demo?
So that's a question for me, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. The hardware is just my own local PC, right? So, okay, that's i9 with 24 core. That's okay.
Yeah, it's not an Apple M1, but it's a classic x86.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so can run
just local
everywhere.
development, yeah.
Wonderful. Do you use Alfresco SDK 6 or 7 to react on document creation, or is it an internal module like SDK 5.x or whatever?
No, there is no SDK. There is nothing. So there are only rules that you could see. So those external behaviors over NQ or something, that's something you could do. But at that moment, you don't need actually Alfresco T engines anymore. You could still use them.
I can say, Andrea, that the trick in this case is that he is using a transformer, and this transformer is supporting the embed metadata action. So when you create the rule with the embed metadata triggering, then that is triggering the transformer, and the transformer is doing the job, right? So in this case, it is an integration by using a transformer. That's all.
Okay. Are those available on GitHub? I think the answer is yes, and I shared the links into the chat already, but maybe there's something else I missed. No? I think so. I think it's okay. And what is used for model training? It seems more like a RAG approach.
I'm not sure what the question is, what is used. So just the local data. Yeah.
So no, okay, but so this is when you are training for RAG, that was my first sample. So this was a nice talk because we were talking about not doing the same stuff, but doing similar stuff with different tools. So in my case, I have an LLM. So the way I'm training is just creating a vector database and getting the information from the vector database and providing the context to the LLM, right? So in your case, you are not using LLM. So what are you using, and how are you training that?
Yeah, so actually what is being used is, like I said, so you can see that, so I guess you talk about the categorization demo. You can see that actually it's a TF-IDF, right? So you can see that there's it will be very simplistic, like a key value database, right? But the key value actually has all the words inside that are pondered. So they have like a ponderation. So which is more relevant to actually the text you are now categorizing. So you teach with the relevant data, the TF-IDF with Naïve Bayes. That's an algorithm from, I think, Bayes, and it's very naive. I'm not sure that I can explain exactly how it works, but actually it works. It's naive, it's simple, and it works.
So I can explain that, right? Because I was working with Solar, that is doing more or less the same thing. So this is more or less the same thing that was using Solar, right? So you create some fingerprints internally, and then you can have this mark like this. Do you remember this mark like this feature from Solar? So it's exactly the same fundamental pattern, right? So I'm just creating some patterns to identify the terms that are more likely to appear on a document that is about whatever you decide, right? So I decide that these kind of documents are related to computers, right? So all the more like these documents are inside this category. So this is how that works internally. So quite similar to Solar. So in this case, it's not LLM, it's not AI, it's just pure searching, and that's all. But again, why to use a nuclear weapon like an LLM when you can use something like more simple than that, just to get the same result, or even in some cases like the summaries, better. So I guess that your approach to create summaries in English, it's better than using a local LLM, right? So so this is also what we wanted to highlight, that you need to address your real requirement and not just to use an LLM for everything. Sometimes it makes no sense.
True.
Okay, I guess that we don't have any other
No more question in the Q&A, no more question in the chat.
So I have another question for Daniel.
Nice.
So you said that you were using Paketo and so on. Why are you doing that? So what is the reason behind this decision?
So the reason why Paketo, so that's actually using the Pack tool. So it's all integrated with Spring Boot. So Spring Boot has all the integrations to create Docker images. So you do not have to maintain a Docker file by yourself. That's actually the main reason. I want to write, I'm very lazy myself. I want to write as few files as possible, especially to not to be responsible to maintain that for the future. If you use Paketo, which is default in Spring Boot, to create Docker images, then you have all the security patches. You have everything. As soon as they create that, you have it. You are not responsible for that. That's one of the biggest reasons. And all is done through Maven command. You could use Paketo as a pack command line also to do that by yourself. Paketo, many of you maybe don't know it. Some of you, I hope, know it. But you can use it for Python, for whatever language you want, actually. It will just recognize what you have in your project. So if you have Java and Maven and Spring Boot, it will understand it, and it will simply use the correct builder to create your tooling. Mainly that's my reason, because of laziness.
But I guess that also, from my view, is because of performance, because the image is too much. Sorry, it's tiny, let's say. So it's much smaller than the original one. So that implies that this is running in milliseconds, likely.
Exactly. Also, it's very well integrated with native images. So if people are experiencing with Spring native and native images, all that is integrated with. So instead of having a Spring Boot application that starts in 2 or 3 seconds, when it's compiled in a native image, it starts like in, I don't know, in a fraction of a second. So the same application. Because it's called AOT. It's called ahead of time. It's not just in time, which is usually what the JVM is. But native image is really a native image. So you can compile a native image for Windows, for Linux, and things like that, and simply start it very, very quickly. But there is no, unfortunately, there are trade-offs. There are no, you cannot run Alfresco without, unfortunately, yet. There is too many reflections, so reflection is not supported in native images. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. So there is also, just we can finish with this last question from Feti. And the question is it possible to introduce a confidence level? And I guess that this is for classification, right? For this classification stuff. So I don't know, Daniel, if you can elaborate on that.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, so when you classify something, there should be some level of understanding that is true or not, right? So you can play with that, or you trust in your classification. So if that is in the
you can, sure. So for the categorization or classification, yes, you can correct the model. So if the model gives you wrong data and you are not happy, you can say for this, I did not show that because it would take too many time probably. I think it's explained on the Docker Hub maybe of that project, but you can use an API to retrain the data. Or not to retrain the whole data set, but just that piece that you are not happy with, you can send it another request saying, please, the next time this kind of document or text categorize with these labels instead of the previous one. So it's like correcting it.
Okay, so you can correct that by training.
Yes.
But okay, that's perfect.
You can think of what you have in Solar, for instance, or in Alfresco Search, right? You have re-indexation, so you can re-index something. Here is the same thing. So there is no difference. So LLM or anything, it's actually the same thing. It's just a huge model, very large. That's why it's called larger model, that it's trained. But Alfresco Solar is also trained. Re-indexing, it's actually training again and again. So similar approach.
Okay, perfect. So Antoine, I guess that you can close.
Yeah, I think we are done. Thank you very much, guys, for preparing all this content. Thank you for everybody who attended today. I hope we will see you in 1 month for the next Tech Talk Live. And I mean, again, if you want to be the next speaker anytime soon, like Daniel, contact me, contact Andrel. Do not be shy, do not be afraid. I hope, Daniel, you can testify that everything went well and we didn't, I mean, there was no violence, anything. It was fruitful, okay.
Perfect people for that, so yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what people need to listen. And you don't need to create, I would say, a specific content for that. You can really present what you do, what you already shared on GitHub, or even recycle some presentation you did already inside or for some marketing stuff. So it's not, okay, you can feel a bit of pressure, but it's not a huge preparation work in many cases. So, and we are here to help anyway. So thank you very much. And I'm eager to have you, in an email or something and help you to become a regular speaker. See you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Daniel.